Welcome to Subject Across. I'm Caroline Donato, and that's Pete Kratza.
We are going to speak about the following: the importance of the initial client interview, setting expectations, and defining the relationship.
5 people just stopped listening.
See, you get to play my role here. I like it.
Do I sound that boring?
What is your approach, like me? What is your seriously, I'm trying to sound like you.
Oh God.
I'm channeling Caroline Donato.
I'm just gonna
walk
off a cliff.
I need to enunciate better and speak like a television reporter.
Do I sound like a television reporter?
At times, yeah.
Well, I did work for CBS.
I gave you that opportunity to work that in, right? And
my internship there.
Walt Hunter, yeah, I've heard that.
I hope Walt's listening. Hey, Walt.
Yeah. You could do it perfect like that, the Pete Schweddy thing.
What's that?
Oh, my God.
Pete Schweddy?
We haven't talked about that before?
Just tell me quickly.
It's a Saturday Night Live skit with Anna Geishauser and I forget who the other one is in it, and Alec Baldwin, where it's the holiday one where it's Pete and he makes a Christmas confection called Pete's Schweddy Balls. You could be one of those female announcers with your voice, like, that's how you. It's a compliment.
Should I quit being a lawyer and just go straight to television?
You should just do voice acting.
Oh. I got a face for radio.
Wait, I'm going to put my microphone so I can't see your face. Okay. Right there. How about that? That's good.
I feel more comfortable.
Look at that. All right. The initial client interview. Can you get serious for a minute?
Yeah. I'm relaxed because I'm not leading now.
But I'm going to be asking you questions.
Okay.
Why don't you talk about the import of the initial client interview? What do you want to get? What do you want to get accomplished in the initial client interview?
Wow, it's loaded. Okay. Well, first I want to
get hired.
Well, sure.
Okay.
First and foremost, I want to hear the potential client's concerns, because we want to make sure that we can address those concerns.
Interesting. That's not my approach.
Well, I don't know. A lot of things funnel through me, so I have to hear the concerns to make sure it's something I can actually help with. And also figure out the client's priorities, what their exposure is, their criminal exposure, meaning if they're charged with a crime, what's the maximum penalty for that crime? What are the implications of that? The sentencing guidelines, what's the exposure? And then the client's culpability, meaning how do you explain culpability? Risk of being convicted or level of responsibility for those allegations. And in understanding the client's exposure to being convicted and sentenced to a certain sentence, certain level of incarceration, and understanding their level of responsibility in the allegations, it helps manage the client's expectations as to what a reasonable and good and, I guess, the best possible outcome would be in their case.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I'm going to try not to sound like a lawyer. All right. Do you want to know if they did it?
I do.
Well, yeah.
I do.
Why?
I know there's lawyers that say they don't. I want to know.
When the reason you want to know, what I tell them, is that anything that they tell me is privileged. They could tell me they did it, and we could still go to trial.
But we still know what their level of responsibility is and possible exposure.
In order for us to give them the best advice, whether to plea or go to trial, or whether to talk to the police or not, we need to know the truth.
Right.
And to me, the most important part of that initial client interview is, one, to develop, to foster confidence in the client that I know what I'm talking about, that they can trust me, that I'm going to keep my mouth shut. They can tell me anything they want. I've heard everything. I'm not going to tell their neighbor, oh, God, you're not going to believe what Bob told me. Or I'm not even going to tell their neighbor that I represent Bob or that I met with Bob. The entire meeting is privileged. And the basis of that privilege is to protect them. But they need to be comfortable that we take that confidentiality seriously. And we better, because our jobs depend on it. So yeah, I always want the truth, and I agree. I never understood the concept of, don't tell me that yet. Don't tell me that yet. The point is that if I'm going to adequately represent you, I need to know what I'm up against. And in my experience, it's very rare if someone tells me that they've done it, that they haven't told other people already anyway that they've done it, who are going to be witnesses against them.
Right. And the reason why when you asked me that question, I paused was because I didn't know if it was a trick question, because I know some
do
lawyers.
I trick you?
Oh, yeah. And I know
trick you.
some lawyers say that they don't want to know, but I've never come across a time where I didn't want to know.
No, I don't think it, maybe some of them are good lawyers. I don't think it makes sense.
What's the reasoning? Do you know the reasoning for why some criminal lawyers don't?
To keep their options open in terms of how they're going to, I guess, present the case. It's a little bit shady, to tell you the truth.
Aren't your options still open no matter what you know because of confidentiality?
Well, whether the client can testify or not. Have you ever seen, I think it was in The Verdict, and I saw this at some point, Paul Newman, The Verdict. You ever see that movie? It's a great movie.
I think I've seen clips of it.
Well, one of the clips is a guy is preparing, the bad lawyer who's representing the hospital is preparing a witness to testify.
I've seen this.
And, he's basically telling him what he's going to want him to say. You know what I mean? And that's kind of that's kind of beyond the concept of I don't want to know the truth yet. I don't want to know, because they don't want to restrict the ability to, because if a client tells us that they did it, well, they're not going to testify unless they want to confess in front of a judge or a jury. So some lawyers are reluctant to have them say that until they tell them all the things that they could tell them that would benefit their case. It's not an ethical way to practice, and it's not, in my estimation, ultimately very effective either. I don't want a client who's going to get up and testify untruthfully. Even, first of all, if we know they're going to testify untruthfully, we can't have them testify.
Well,
that's
not
suborning
true.
perjury. But if they do testify...
That's not true.
Well,
I've had ethics courses on this. If you have a client that you know is going to lie on the stand, first of all, you can signal it a couple of ways. You can go in the back with the judge and say,
you want to withdraw.
I want to withdraw. You can't withdraw. Okay, so say you're forced to stay in the case.
Let them testify in a narrative.
All you say is, tell the jury in your own words what happened and sit back. Okay?
Yeah, there are other things you can do,
like
too.
What?
Well, you can ask to withdraw.
Right.
You can tell them that they shouldn't be testifying. And if they want to testify, frankly, I can't imagine a judge isn't going to let you out if you tell them that the reason, and you're allowed under those circumstances, because it's about protecting your own backside at that point. Mm-hmm. You want to be a party to perjury. But the other point I was going to make is that even if you're not sure, even if you stick your head in the sand like some of those lawyers that you mentioned, juries are really good generally about assessing credibility. And unless you have a stone cold sociopath, it's going to be seen through, and you're setting yourself up. That's why, at the outset, what I was saying is that in order for me to assess what's in client's best interest, I need to know the truth. If I know that the client did something wrong, but we have a reasonable doubt case anyway, well, then client can keep their mouth shut. They can sit next to me. They can try to look innocent, but they're not going to testify. And I'm going to argue that the Commonwealth didn't prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. That's how we can go to trial, notwithstanding the fact that they've admitted it.
And to bring it back to our topic of conversation, and oh my gosh, I realized in our last episodes we didn't hit our bits.
Oh, great.
We're going to have to do that.
No, I don't want to do a bit.
No, we got to do a bit.
No, you can't make me.
What else do we have in terms of our initial consult?
Setting expectations is kind of related to that. We have to be very clear that we're not allowed to guarantee results. We can, based upon experience handling so many cases, we can tell them what is a reasonable goal, and the fact that we're very optimistic that we're going to obtain that goal. I don't set percentages. I've been asked that every fifth interview.
What are the chances?
What are the chances? I'm not a percentage guy.
Right.
There are too many variables. You don't know what judge we're going to get. We don't know what prosecutor we're going to get, and we don't know what jury we're going to get if we're going to trial.
There's only so much we can control.
But setting reasonable expectations and letting them also, in terms of expectations, what they should expect of us. The fact that if they hire you or me, that you or I, you or me,
You or me.
you or me, that's who their lawyer is. And that we're going to be accessible, that we're going to answer their questions. You know, I give my cell phone out. Some people think that's crazy. I know you do, too.
Well, you make me give my cell phone out. You made me put it on my card.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Oh, my gosh.
And
I
so
encourage the clients to email me.
What they you are old. You
or
can be
call my
31.
direct dial.
What they should expect from us when they hire us. We talk about the fee engagement letter, the fact that they should always have a fee engagement letter from a lawyer. It should be in writing in terms of what the fee structure is. And related to that, and one of these the talking points that we have here is defining the relationship, explaining the function of the lawyer, explaining the fact that lawyer makes certain strategic decisions, but client input is paramount. Client always decides whether they're going to testify or not at a trial. Client always decides whether they're going to plead guilty or not. And the fact that even if client disagrees with my opinion or assessment, doesn't mean like I fold my tent up and say, well, you're not listening to me, the hell with you. You don't have to always follow my advice. I still represent you.
Right. And the function of the lawyer is to advise and suggest certain decisions, but ultimately it is the client's job to decide. And often they'll say, well, you tell me what to do. And sometimes,
I love that.
Well, sometimes we'll have a strong opinion. I advise you do this.
Mm-hmm.
I had a case that in March was going to go to trial and was able, right before we picked the jury, to procure a misdemeanor probation plea. And even though my client had maintained...
Procure?
Get?
Yeah. Do you talk like this around the house too? Procure and
I think so.
hyperbolic and
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah, this is me.
Man, your poor kids are going to be so nerdy.
Oh, I can't wait. I think it's because of that nitro cold brew I had to drink this morning because I had to go to Starbucks.
I'm a little disappointed that you didn't bring Pedialyte into the studio today.
No, I feel okay. I've been sleeping a little more.
All right.
But the point is sometimes there are those cases where we say, client, you have to take this deal. It's in your best interest. I'm not leaving this room until you make a knowing, intelligent, and voluntary decision to take this deal that's in your best interest. Pete's looking over. The microphones in this room they're kind of new looking and they have giant black covers.
Look like flies' eyes.
And they're huge, and Pete put it in front of his face.
Well, you told me to stop looking at you.
I know, but
it's a little disconcerting. I'm like looking at this thing. It's like huge black clown nose.
This is when we start to unravel.
Yeah, that's a good
but
point.
we're not done yet because the
we're
last
not?
two episodes we forgot bits. So we're just gonna do two bits
man.
just to break it up. It's what they want.
You go first.
Well, hold on. Let's say what they are. Pete wanted to change. The first bit we were doing in the last few episodes where you may think you can, but you can't. But Pete wanted to get rid of it.
Because it just gave me so much anxiety.
Pete gets a lot of anxiety about the structure. So the last two episodes...
Are you sure that people really want this?
They asked. I wouldn't have known what a bit was but for them.
What was the other bit that I suggested?
So the bit you suggested was when I'm king of...
You are ramming right now. Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, but it's just so crazy. Okay.
All right. Well, when you're king of the world,
When
right?
I'm king of the world. So when Pete is king of the world, go.
Oh, I go first?
Yeah, go ahead. You can do this one.
Oh, mine's kind of serious. When I'm king of the world, all prisons everywhere will have mandated educational components. Isn't that boring?
So even county prison is what you're saying.
Any prison, anywhere, you go to jail for
mandated.
A month or more. There's some sort of an educational program. If you're at a what we would call state prison, and you're going to prison for a year or 2 years or 3 years, you either learn a trade or you get a GED or you get a college degree, and when you do it, you get good time credit.
Oh, I like that.
See?
Do you want to explain what that means, though?
Well, like you get time off your sentence.
right? But it'll be required to do.
You have to do this first.
So no matter.
I think the problem in our world is that we're generally not educated enough. And I would look to, instead of warehousing people, educate people. And I'm not saying that all ignorant people are in jail. I just think as a society, we don't learn enough. And what better, you have a captive audience there, you know? Learn a trade, learn, get a degree. It'll combat recidivism, and it'll better people instead of just warehousing them.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
All right, so when you're king of the world,
I mean, mine was
yours
not.
is probably going to be what's your dog's name? Wilbur?
Well, you said.
Wilbur's Instagram page will be mandated viewing.
Actually, it's been really inactive.
Oh, really?
I haven't been very good about that.
Oh. I bet Wilbur feels neglected since you moved into the new house.
Why?
Because you're not paying attention to him. You have this big house as opposed to that little apartment that you guys used to have.
Well, I don't know that it's any different now. He has more room to roam.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I bet Wilbur's feeling neglected.
I think he's fine.
Okay.
I think he's okay. But I thought you said that when I'm king of the world is limited to work stuff.
Well, see, this is why I don't understand the whole bit thing. I thought the bit thing was related to all this, which constricts me.
No. I mean, it's whatever you want to make it.
All right, from henceforth, I'm going to try to talk like Caroline. Henceforth, the bits are not restricted to legal stuff.
So can I say when I'm king of the world?
Well, as long as it's appropriate for listenership.
When I'm king of the world, I will be driven everywhere. I will never have to drive again.
It's very self-centered of you. The king of the world is you're improving the world.
Oh, I thought it was about you.
Not improving your life.
Oh, improving the world.
Yeah.
When I'm king of the world, healthcare for all.
Oh, okay. Well,
I know.
and who's going to pay for it? You and your driver. Well, that's a whole other topic.
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
Okay, our last bit is
What's that?
you don't know this, but
I have no idea. I know nothing.
you have
That's my
nothing?
protest against the bit.
Okay.
All
I'll
right,
give
you
one.
do it.
You don't know this, but Pete and I share each other's half birthdays.
Oh yeah, even I didn't know that.
I tell you this every
I know, but
birthday.
I don't retain it though.
He's like, how do you know my birthday? Well, it's my half birthday.
I didn't understand the concept of a half birthday.
Every
but-
6 months.
Okay.
So he's
Yeah,
April 6th,
six, yeah.
and I'm October 6th.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why we're yin and yang, man.
I guess.
All right, that's it for this
All right.
episode. We've unraveled officially.
Exactly.
All right, see you all
ya.
next time.